I'm back. Just thought it was about time. Came back on here to give a bit of an update of what's been going on. The last video that I have up on here, sorry, I'm doing this with my arm, so quite a few movements going on. I was just updating on my miscarriage. So since then, I think that was a few days. That was probably the day after I found out. So since then, I had to go back to the hospital twice to do a scan. So you do an initial scan by a sonographer who confirmed that the baby's heartbeat had stopped. And then I had to go back the following day again with a different sonographer to confirm the same thing. And so I did that. That was on Friday last week. And then I had to make a decision about how I wanted to progress the miscarriage, because it was a missed miscarriage. So I wasn't bleeding, I wasn't cramping or anything. I just could tell that something was wrong because my symptoms had started to decline. My choices were basically do nothing and wait and see what happens, which wasn't an option for me because I just, I didn't want to sit around waiting to bleed, to be honest. Excuse me. And so the second option was to have it medically progressed, which is where they give you tablets. They give you a series of tablets that you have to take in the hospital. You take them vaginally. There's about 4. And then you wait an hour, and then you should start cramping and then bleeding a little bit. And then they send you home with painkillers and anti-sickness tablets as well, and an additional top-up just in case you don't start progressing when you get home. And then the third option was to have surgery to do a D&C. Now, I was initially going to do the D&C because I wanted them to take the baby and test and find out why I had miscarried. But they told me that they don't do that until I've had more miscarriages. So I was like, well, I don't want to go and do surgery and risk more scar tissue, etc., because we know what's happened with my previous surgeries. So I thought, okay, I'll go down the medical route. So they said, okay, that's fine. They took bloods on the Friday because they have to do an assessment of my body to make sure that I was viable and that there was no problems with me going down that route. I then got a call on Friday evening from the nurse, and she was like, well, we've done your blood test and it looks like your iron levels are low, because I did have chronic anemia, which happened when I had the fibroid, and I had to have a blood transfusion. So I had been taking iron, but obviously not taking enough iron. So because my iron levels were low, they're like, we don't want to release you home and then you bleed too much and then you have to come in as an emergency. So we want to do the medical option, but you be in hospital and possibly overnight. So because of all the COVID, they couldn't confirm when the bed would be available. So they said, we'll call you Monday and let you know what's going on. So they gave me a call on Monday. The bed was still available. And so for the Tuesday. And so I said, okay, that's fine. But she said, we still have to call you Tuesday morning just to confirm, because everything is last minute at the moment, with the rising levels of people going into hospital with COVID at the moment. So they called me Tuesday morning, about 7:30 in the morning, and said, yes, the bed is still there. Just make your way in. So I took an Uber. First time taking an Uber, not the best circumstances to do it under, but it was seamless. It was actually quite a good experience. So I took my Uber into the hospital, got there just after 8 o'clock in the morning, met this wonderful nurse who kind of showed me where I was going because I looked confused. I had no idea where I was going. And she showed me the way, got into the ward and kind of sat there for a bit, really. And then basically they had to wait for a doctor to give me a cannula, just in case I did need a blood transfusion or to have any medicine, sent through my body through the whatchamacallit that they put in your hand. So I had to wait for a doctor for that. Doctor came, bless her, she was trying. I don't know if she was new or if she just recently, got her license, but she couldn't find a vein in my hand. So if anyone has ever had a cannula before, they're bloody painful. It's right in your hand, and she tried 3 different times in 3 different places on both hands, and she couldn't get it in the vein, um, and so she said, "Oh, I'll have to get the doctor to come." So more sitting around, more sitting around. It was kind of weird because one of the nurses was saying, that I'm nil by mouth. I was like, I've had breakfast. You sure? Um, but I think they thought I had to have another scan. There was a bit of confusion. Blah blah. Then another doctor came. She just looked at my hand, tapped it a couple of times, and stuck the cannula right in. So then I was ready to start on the medication. Nurse came, gave me the 4 tablets, had to stick them up there vaginally. That was a task because they're tiny tablets, and I wasn't sure I was sticking them up high enough. But I did it. And then basically just kind of, they then realized that I wasn't nil by mouth and gave me some lunch, which was nice. But then I could start feeling some cramps. It was starting to get a bit uncomfortable, but there was still no bleeding. And so I just kind of tried to rest up a little bit. Fortunately, I took my phone and my tablet, downloaded loads of stuff to watch. Was trying to distract myself with MasterChef. Um, and yeah, and then what happened after that? I was still cramping a little bit. Nothing was really, I still wasn't bleeding. So they gave me the top up medication. This was probably early evening-ish, around 5-ish. And she gave me the top up, along with some pain medication because the cramps were getting a bit painful. Because it's basically like, because I don't have cramps when I have periods. But when I do have cramps when I have periods, it's like a constant cramping, but with this, it's like contractions. It's like not obviously as bad as full-on contractions, but they come in that same sort of fashion and are stronger than cramps. And so you can feel a cramp coming and it ebbs and flows like that. And it was starting to get a bit painful. And as soon as I took the second medication, probably maybe 20 minutes after that, you take that orally, it's 2 tablets orally. I started bleeding, I could feel it. Um, uh, and yeah, I was happy that it was starting, um, but it's still sad, isn't it? Because it's kind of like, well, this is really over. So, but I started bleeding, and obviously I already had a pad on because you just keep it on just in case. And yeah, and it was just just flowing because obviously what's going to happen is you're going to get clots and then you're going to pass the baby, you're going to pass product. So unfortunately, because this was happening later on in the day, this is going to happen overnight. So I didn't get much sleep. It was like every hour or so I'd have to get up because I just felt uncomfortable down there. And then I would go to the toilet. It felt like I needed to go to the toilet, and then I'd come out and then go to the toilet. And obviously, I know this is a bit TMI, but then I would, when I peed, I'd pee out a clot. Or I don't know which one was clot, I don't know which one was baby, I don't know which one was product, but whatever it wasn't just blood. And you can't really see it when it goes down the toilet. You just feel it come out. And then, yeah, so that was happening overnight. The painkillers were working somewhat, so it wasn't too painful. I did get some sleep. And yeah, all the nurses were lovely, so kind, and just made the whole experience a lot more bearable than it would have otherwise been. There were in the same ward as me. There's probably like 4 or 5 other women. There's a few elderly ladies, but there was another couple of ladies who were obviously going through gynae sort of issues. I know there was somebody next to me. She was on her 4th miscarriage, and it looks like she was having a miscarriage naturally, and she decided that she just wanted to go home and do nothing. So she left quite soon on the first day because I stayed overnight. And then late in the night, another lady came, and I think she was having an ectopic pregnancy. And yeah, it just kind of, number one, it does make you realize that you're not the only one who's going through this, but you kind of, it's not a comfort to know that other women are going through this sort of pain. It's awful. And yeah, so I was there till morning, early morning, had my breakfast, a couple pieces of toast, and some coffee, and the doctor came round and asked me, how did it go? And I said, obviously I was bleeding and I'd passed some clots, and they were like, okay, so it's happened, so you can go home this morning. They were going to give me a prescription for iron tablets and stuff, but I know how the hospital does with their prescriptions. You're there for hours waiting for it, and they said you can just take they're the same ones that you get over the counter. So I was like, I'll just get those, don't worry. So they discharged me, gave me my letter. I left there at about 10 in the morning, got home, took another Uber, and got home. Obviously, throughout the time I'm there, my husband was contacting me. He did want to come and visit, but I don't think visitors are really coming around at the moment, obviously because of all this COVID stuff that's going on. So we were just keeping in contact over the phone. My mum was obviously still contacting me as well. I was giving her updates. And yeah, got home, told everyone I was home. Went straight to Tesco to get because I felt like I needed to get some meat and stuff and some spinach just to start boosting up my iron, obviously because I'm bleeding and I want to make sure that my iron levels go back up. I've upped my dose of the iron tablets. And yeah, so what's today? Friday. This all happened on Tuesday. I was discharged on Wednesday, so today's Friday, like I said. And I'm still bleeding today. I'm cramping a little bit more than I have been before, a little bit more painful, but I've just taken some painkillers, so I feel good. And now it's a lot less physical and more emotional, just trying to get myself back to pre-miscarriage thinking, get back to being hopeful. I'm obviously back onto losing weight because I need to in order to do this, to do IVF again, because we're not giving up. Even though my head wants to give up, my heart cannot. And my spirit cannot. And so I'm just getting my head into line. That's the last part. Been binge watching 24, keep me distracted, which has really helped. And I'm just, I've got back into my word, reading the word, using the word of God to water those seeds that I've sown, because I was feeling yesterday like I just hopeless, and I can't move forward with that sort of mentality. And so I know the word is what's going to give me life and give me strength. So back into that, and yeah, so that's the plan. We're moving forward, not giving up. It's hard, it's scary because this was painful, and my head's still thinking, gosh, really, can you risk going through this again? How would you? But I can't think like that. There's no point thinking like that. I can only, trust God and believe God for the best, and that's what I'm doing. And I know it's going to work out. It will. I know it will. And I'm just prepared and ready for the success of this next treatment. We're going to have our twins. I'm declaring it. I'm decreeing it. My body's going to be in the best health it could possibly be in. I'm taking all the supplements under the sun, every vitamin, everything. My body's going to be in tip-top condition. And this is going to work. We're going to have our babies this year. They're going to be on board in Jesus' name. So, I'll catch you later. See you on the other side.